Somebody said, "Are you scared?" Yeah. I'm scared. But I knew Jesus was with me because I trusted him. This was right after my daddy had passed away. Faith gets a little weak sometimes. But I'm glad somebody took the time to tell me it would be about soul and not on somebody's wish. Church, you don't know what it's like until you run a bus route and you go to somebody's house and you pick up a child that's been in a house fire and his arm is burned off, the skin on his nose is melted away, there's nothing there but a hole, and you cradle him in your arms and you pick him up and say, "Let me take you to God's house." And he looks back at you and he smiles. And then at 16-year-old, you run into that child again and he said, "I know you. I know you." What will God say if he was to step on your ship tonight? Would he have to tell you to launch out a little deeper and get our priorities where we need it? Or would he care to say, "Come on, my good and faithful servant, let's go on another"? We can try to be everything this world wants us to be, but that's small in the eyes of God. That's small in the eyes of God. But we can be small in the world's eyes and big in God's eyes. When we get to the point, that person laying down there, and that may be less fortunate than you are, means as much to God as we did. And we begin to talk to him and try to win that soul. We'll see God begin to move like we've never seen before. It ain't my business to tear somebody down. It's my part to lift them up. I'm supposed to extend forth a hand. You can say, "Why is it about soul winning so much to you?" Let me tell you why it's about soul winning. Because God could have seen fit to call me home at 11-year-old when these old boys' lungs collapsed down on each other. But he's seen fit to leave me here. He had a work for me to do, glory to God. And I'm going to continue to march forward. I'm not worried about what the world has to say. I'm not worried about what whoever has to say. The only one I'm worried about is what God has to say. Amen. Because he'll be the one that I have to stand for. But is it blood on his hands? Or when he flips open that book, will he find my name written in the Lamb of his life? There is a day coming that you'll stand alone in front of the Savior. He said every knee will bow and every tongue will confess. So, what I'm trying to tell you is to be about your Father's business. Simon Peter had been out all night. But when they listened to the hand of God, we got a little deeper. They couldn't contain what God had for them to do. You may be here tonight and God's calling you to something. You have to get off the bank and get in the water to move out a little deeper to see what God's plan is. Don't think the devil ain't going to fight. Don't think he ain't going to try to tear you down. If you hold steadfast to that news guardian, guess what? The sun